Paul Tournier was a Swiss psychiatrist. He said that on one of his trips to Italy, he was in the railway station and he was killing time, and he looked at a poster, a travel bureau poster from the Italian Travel Bureau, and he said it was a picture of the Matterhorn, a mountain that he was familiar with as a resident of Switzerland. He said he kept studying the picture. He said there was something wrong with the picture. He couldn't quite get his head wrapped around it. And then he said it dawned on him that the stupid Italians had printed the picture of the Matterhorn backwards. The hood, the distinctive hood of the Matterhorn was pointed in the wrong direction. And he shook his head and he thought, these stupid Italians, they just don't understand what the mountain looks like. And then Paul said it dawned on him that he was the stupid one, that when you're in Italy and you look at the Matterhorn, the hood points in one direction. When you're in Switzerland and you look at the Matterhorn, it's pointing in a different direction. It's all about where you stand when you look at the mountain. This Sunday is the beginning of the season of Advent. Advent is when we are asked as Christians to spend some time thinking about Jesus, looking at Jesus. Paul in Ephesians chapter 3 verse 19 says that he wants us to know the love of Christ. I think that's a perfect way to understand what the season of Advent is about. It's about getting to know the love of Christ. But getting to know the love of Christ is really going to hinge on where we stand, on the perspective that we take as we look at Christ and his love. And so before telling us to know the love of Christ, Paul says, let's know the height and the depth and the width and the breadth of the love of Christ. We have 4 Gospels. There are 4 weeks to Advent. What better way for us to prepare ourselves for the coming of Christ than to take a week and to read a Gospel? To read Matthew 1 week, Mark the 2nd week, Luke the 3rd week, and John the 4th week, and to do it with the perspective that we're looking at the love of Christ. In Matthew, we get the length of the love of Christ, the long history of God's faithful promises. In Mark, we get the depth of the love of Christ, the depth with which Christ was prepared to go to show his love. In Luke, we get the width of the love of Christ, the width of his compassion. And in John, we get the height of the love of Christ, the way that it soars into the heavens so that we can see what it is that Christ has done for us. Advent is 4 weeks. There are 4 Gospels. We need to know the love of Christ. Let's think about using these weeks to read the Gospels, to see who Jesus is, and to know his love for us.